The stars looked peaceful from the observation deck of the Indomitable. Captain Jun Kim stood with his hands clasped behind his back, watching the distant points of light. His ship was completing a routine patrol near the outer colonies of human space. Nothing exciting had happened in months. Jun was a tall man with short black hair and serious eyes. 20 years in the United Earth Defense Force had given him a calm confidence that his crew respected. The Indomitable wasn't the biggest or newest ship in the fleet, but under his command, it had become one of the most reliable. "Captain," a voice called from behind him. "You should come to the bridge." He turned to see his second-in-command, Officer Subin. Her face showed concern. "What is it?" Jun asked. "Long-range sensors have picked up something strange. Many ships heading our way. They don't match any known design." Jun nodded once and followed her to the bridge. The main screen showed several red dots moving toward human space. There were at least 20 of them. "Have we tried to talk to them?" he asked. "Yes, sir," said Jin, the communications officer. "We've sent standard greetings in all formats, no answer." Jun tapped his fingers on the arm of his command chair. "Keep trying, and alert Earth Command." For the next hour, they watched the unknown ships move closer. They were big, shaped like arrowheads with strange bumps along their sides. Jin kept sending messages, but the aliens remained silent. Then, without warning, the lead alien ship fired a bright beam of energy. "Evasive action!" Jun shouted as the bridge lights flashed red. The Indomitable turned hard, but the beam still hit the side of the ship. The whole vessel shook. "Shields at 80%, reported Tay, the weapons officer. "That was just one hit." "Return. Fire," Jun ordered. "Target their weapon systems only." The Indomitable fired back, but its weapons seemed to do little against the alien ships. "Captain," Subin said, "Earth Command is ordering all ships to retreat. They say these must be the Vorn." The Vorn? Jun had heard stories about them, an aggressive species that had already conquered 3 other civilizations. Another hit rocked the ship, then another. "Shields at 40%, Tay reported. "We can't take much more of this." Jun stood up. "I know what Earth Command said, but if we all run, the Vorn will follow us straight to the colonies. Thousands of people will die." He looked around at his crew. "We need to buy some time." "Sir?" called a voice from the engine room. It was Hannah Park, the chief engineer. Her face appeared on a small screen. "Remember those experimental shields we installed last month? I think I can redirect power to strengthen them." Hannah was brilliant. Young for her position at just 29, she had graduated top of her class and had a gift for making machines do the impossible. "Do it," Jun said. "It might burn out the engines," she warned. "Better than being blown apart. Do it now." The largest Vorn ship was moving toward them, charging what looked like a massive cannon. "That's their plasma weapon," Subin said quietly. "The one that destroyed the Centauri fleet last year." Jun watched the enemy ship, his mind racing through options. "Tay, target their command bridge. Everything we've got." "But sir, our weapons barely scratch them." "Just do it. Wait for my signal." The Vorn ship fired its plasma cannon. A huge ball of glowing energy flew toward the Indomitable. "Now, Hannah," Jun shouted. The lights on the bridge dimmed as power flowed to the shields. The plasma hit them with tremendous force. The ship groaned, panels sparked, but they survived. "Shields holding at 15%, Tay said with amazement. The new system worked. The Vorn ship paused, seemingly surprised that the human vessel was still there. They didn't expect that. Jun said with a small smile, "Now, while they're confused, fire everything at their bridge." The Indomitable unleashed all its weapons. The concentrated fire hit one spot on the Vorn flagship. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a small explosion appeared, followed by a bigger one. "Their main power is fluctuating," Subin reported. "We hurt them." "All power to engines," Jun ordered. "Get us out of here, maximum speed." The Indomitable turned and accelerated away from the Vorn fleet, Several enemy ships followed, but they were sluggish, still coordinating after the unexpected damage to their flagship. "They're falling behind," Tay said after 10 minutes of tense pursuit. June finally allowed himself to breathe. He looked around. The bridge. There was damage everywhere. Smoke rose from burned consoles. But his crew was alive, and they had done something no one else had managed. They had hurt the Vorn. "Send a message to Earth Command," he told Jin. "Tell them what happened. Tell them the Vorn can be fought." 3 days later, the damaged Indomitable limped into Earth's orbit. Repair ships came out to meet them. June watched from the bridge as they approached. "Captain," Subin said, "there's a message for you from Admiral Lee." Admiral Lee was the head of the Earth Defense Force, a stern woman with more experience than almost anyone else in the fleet. "Put her through," June said. Admiral Lee's face appeared on the screen. Her expression was hard to read. "Captain Kim," she said, "your ship looks terrible." "Yes, Admiral, but it's still flying. You disobeyed a direct order to retreat." "I did, Admiral." She was quiet for a moment. "The data you sent back about the Vorn weapons and shields is the most valuable intelligence we've ever had on them, and the damage you did to their flagship has delayed their advance. It seems they've never faced resistance like that before." June stayed silent, waiting. "Earth Command is divided," Admiral Lee continued. "Some want to try for peace. Others want to build bigger weapons." She leaned closer to the screen. "I have a different idea. I'm promoting you to Commodore. Effective. Immediately. The Indomitable will be repaired and upgraded. I'm giving you command of a small battle group." "Thank you, Admiral, but we don't need the biggest fleet or the most powerful weapons, Commodore Kim. We need smart tactics and the will to fight. You and your crew have both." Her expression softened slightly. "The Vorn will be back and in greater numbers. We need to be ready." As the communication ended, June turned to look at his battered ship and exhausted crew. They had survived the first encounter. But the real war was just beginning. Hannah Park appeared on the bridge, her face smudged with engine grease. "Captain, Commodore, I've been thinking about those Vorn shields. If we reconfigure our weapons, I think we can punch through them more effectively next time." June nodded. "Get started right away, and find out what material they use for their hull. There has to be a weakness." Subin stepped forward. "Sir, the crew is asking, will we face the Vorn again?" "Yes," June said simply. "And when we do, we'll be ready. No matter what weapons they bring, this ship and its crew will be enough." 3 months passed quickly. The Indomitable had been repaired and improved in the orbital shipyards above Earth. Its once damaged hull now gleamed under the shipyard lights as workers made final adjustments. Commodore June Kim walked through the corridors of his ship, nodding to crew members as he passed. Many were new faces, the best officers Earth Command could find. But the core team remained. Subin as his second-in-command, Hannah Park in engineering, and Jin at communications. June entered the tactical room where Lieutenant Dae Sung waited. Dae was young but brilliant, with a mind that could see patterns others missed. He had been personally requested by June for the battle group. "Show me what you've been working on," June said. Dae touched a screen and a 3D map of space appeared. The Vorn fight in tight formations. Their ships support each other with overlapping fire. It makes them strong, but also predictable. And predictable means vulnerable, June added. "Exactly, sir. I've designed new tactics based on quick changes and unusual movements. The Vorn won't expect it." Their meeting was interrupted by an urgent call from Jin. "Commodore, long-range sensors have detected multiple warp signatures. It's the Vorn, and they've brought a much larger fleet this time." June's face remained calm, but his heart beat faster. "How many?" "At least 60 ships, sir, including 3 vessels, larger than anything we've seen before." "Sound battle stations, I'll be right there." On the bridge, June found organized chaos as the crew prepared for battle. Through the main view screen, he could see 4 other human ships moving into formation around the Indomitable. It was a small force compared to what was coming, but each ship had been specially modified under Hannah's guidance. "The Vorn fleet will reach our outer defense line in 2 hours, Subin reported. June opened a channel to all ships. "This is Commodore Kim. The enemy you're about to face has superior numbers and firepower, but they have never faced humans at our best. They think they know our capabilities based on our last encounter. They are wrong." He paused, looking at the determined faces around him. "We have spent 3 months preparing for this day. Each of your ships has been equipped with modular weapon systems that can be reconfigured during battle. Use them. Be unpredictable. Change tactics frequently. Remember your training, trust your instincts, and watch out for each other." Kim out. The next 2 hours were the longest of June's life. Then the Vorn arrived. Their ships emerged from warp, a wall of metal and weapons. At their center were 3 massive vessels that dwarfed even their other ships. The Vorn wasted no time and immediately opened fire. "Evasive pattern day 1, June ordered. The human ships scattered in what looked like random directions but was actually a carefully planned sequence. The first volley of Vorn weapons mostly missed. "They've modified their plasma cannons," Hana reported from engineering. "They're designed to cut through our shields now." "Then let's not be where they expect," June replied. All ships switched to configuration B. Across the human fleet, weapon systems rotated and changed. What had been defense arrays became offensive weapons. What had been weapon ports became countermeasure launchers. The Vorn attacked again, targeting where they thought the shield generators would be, but the human ships had moved those systems after the last battle. "Return fire," June ordered. "Target their lead ship's propulsion systems." The human vessels fired in perfect coordination. Several Vorn ships slowed, their engines damaged. The battle continued for hours. The human ships darted and weaved, changing configurations so often that the Vorn couldn't adapt. Still, it wasn't enough. 2 human ships had already been destroyed, and the others were taking heavy damage. "Commodore?" Jin called out, her voice excited despite the situation. "I found something in their communications. There's a pattern to how they send commands." June moved to her station. "Show me." Jin pointed to her screen where alien signals scrolled by. "Their entire fleet relies on commands from those 3 big ships, and they use a simple encryption that repeats every 14 minutes. June's eyes widened with understanding. "Can you predict their next moves?" "I think so, sir. And maybe I can send false commands." "Do it," June said without hesitation. Jin worked furiously at her console. Minutes later, a group of Vorn ships suddenly broke formation and fired on empty space. "It worked," Jin exclaimed. "They think we're where we're not." "Keep going," June ordered. "Subin, have our ships target their confused vessels." The tide of battle slowly turned. The human ships, though outgunned, now had the advantage of knowing what the enemy would do before they did it. More importantly, Jin's false commands were creating chaos in the Vorn fleet. On the 3rd day of battle, with both sides exhausted, the Indomitable found itself face-to-face with one of the 3 Vorn command ships. Both vessels were heavily damaged. "One more hit and our shields are gone," Hana reported from engineering. Her voice was hoarse from lack of sleep. "Same for them," Day said, pointing to the enemy vessel. "Their main weapons are offline, but they still have maneuvering thrusters." June looked at the massive Vorn ship. A plan formed in his mind. "Hana, do we still have power for a short warp jump?" "Barely enough for one, sir." "Plot a micro jump. I want to appear directly above their bridge section." The bridge crew looked at him in shock. Micro jumps inside a battle zone were incredibly dangerous. "Trust me," June said quietly. The Indomitable disappeared in a flash of light, then reappeared, just where June had ordered. The Vorn ship, surprised by the maneuver, had no time to react. All remaining weapons fire on their command center. The human ship unleashed everything it had left. The Vorn vessel's bridge section erupted in a series of explosions. Without its command center, the huge ship drifted helplessly. Seeing one of their command ships disabled, the remaining Vorn vessels began to retreat. After 3 days of non-stop fighting, the battle was over. As the enemy fleet disappeared into warp, a cheer went up on the Indomitable's bridge. They had won against impossible odds. "Send a message to all ships," June said, allowing himself a small smile. "Well done." Later, after the wounded had been treated and emergency repairs started, June sat alone in his quarters. A knock came at his door. "Enter," he called. Hannah Park stepped in, looking exhausted but proud. "We've captured some Vorn prisoners from damaged ships, sir. They're talking." "What are they saying?" "They're confused. They can't understand how we beat them with primitive technology. One of them said something interesting." She paused. "He said they've conquered 3 other species in the past decade and none fought like we did. None adapted so quickly." June nodded slowly. "Did they say if the Vorn will return?" "Yes, sir. They're already calling for allies. The Zal and the Racht." "More enemies," June sighed. "More chances to show what humans can do." Hannah countered with determination in her eyes. Despite his fatigue, June felt a surge of pride. The road ahead would be difficult, but humanity had proven it could stand against the most powerful forces in the galaxy. "Get some rest, Hannah," he said. "Tomorrow we start planning for what comes next." 6 months passed since the battle with the Vorn. Earth had changed in that time. The threat of alien invasion had united humanity in a way nothing else could. The Indomitable had been completely rebuilt. It was still the same ship at heart, but now it carried technology developed from studying captured Vorn vessels. Hannah Park, promoted to Director of Technological Innovation, had led the project personally. Commodore June Kim stood in the new bridge, which was larger and filled with advanced equipment. His crew moved around him, preparing for what everyone knew was coming. "Status report," June said to Su Bin, who now wore the uniform of a captain but remained as his second in command. "All systems are ready," she replied. "The fleet is in position." Earth now had 30 ships ready for battle, including the Indomitable. It wasn't enough to match what was coming, but June had a plan. "Message from Earth Command," Jin announced, from her communications station. "Long-range sensors have detected a massive fleet entering the outer system. It's not just Vorn ships, there are other designs as well." "The allies they promised," June said quietly. "Put it on screen." The main view screen showed hundreds of ships approaching. The arrow-shaped Vorn vessels were easy to recognize. But there were also crystalline ships that shimmered with strange energy, and organic-looking vessels that moved like living things. "The crystal ships are Zal," Daesung said, studying the tactical display. "The organic ones must be Racht. The Zal are known for energy weapons that can pass through most shields. The Racht use biological technology and have hive minds." June turned to address the bridge crew. "We expected this. 3 species against 1, but they don't know what we've been planning." He opened a channel to the entire human fleet. "This is Commodore Kim. The enemy expects us to form a defensive line around Earth. We are not going to do that." He paused, letting his words sink in. "Instead, we are taking the fight to them. Our fleet will move out and engage the enemy before they reach the inner system." There was silence for a moment, then cheers erupted across the communications channel. "All ships prepare for warp jump," June ordered. "Formation attack Alpha." The human fleet appeared at the edge of the Sol system, directly in the path of the incoming alien armada. The enemy ships, expecting to find Earth's defenses much closer to the planet, were caught off guard. "All ships, engage targets as planned," June commanded. "Remember your training." The human vessels split into smaller groups, each targeting specific enemy ships. It was a bold strategy, one that the aliens didn't expect. The Indomitable led a group of 5 ships straight toward the center of the Vorn formation. The enemy responded with a barrage of weapons fire. "Evasive pattern day 4, June ordered, calmly. The human ships moved in an unpredictable zigzag pattern, making it hard for the enemy to lock on. Meanwhile, they fired continuously at the Vorn command ships. "Sir," Jin called out, "I'm picking up confused communications between the 3 alien fleets. They're having trouble coordinating." June smiled slightly. That was part of his plan. The 3 species had never fought together before, and each had different tactics and communication methods. The battle spread across the outer system. It was the largest space battle in known galactic history. Weapons fire lit up the darkness of space like 1,000 suns. The human fleet was taking heavy damage, but they were inflicting serious harm on the enemy as well. The Indomitable had already destroyed 3 Vorn cruisers and damaged a Zal command ship. "Commodore," Day reported. "Captain Dae-sung's ship is executing the flanking maneuver." Dae-sung, once the tactical officer of the Indomitable, now commanded his own vessel, the Defiant. His ship and 2 others suddenly accelerated to maximum speed, diving between the Vorn and Zal fleets. "Now," June ordered. The Defiant and its companions released special devices that Hana had developed. These devices broadcasted fake commands and jamming signals. Suddenly, the Vorn and Zal ships began firing on each other by mistake. "It's working," Subin said with amazement. "The Vorn think the Zal are attacking them, and the Zal think the same about the Vorn." The Rakt, confused by the chaos, pulled their ships back to regroup. The united alien front was breaking apart, but the battle was far from over. A massive Vorn ship, larger than any they had seen before, moved toward the Indomitable. It was the supreme command vessel of the entire Vorn collective. "They want to end this personally," June said. "All other ships continue with the plan. The Indomitable will handle this one." The 2 ships faced each other like ancient warriors. The Vorn vessel fired first, its powerful weapons striking the Indomitable's shields. "Shields at 60%, reported a young officer at the damage control station. "Return fire," June ordered. "Target their main weapon systems." The Indomitable fired everything it had. The Vorn ship's shields held, but they weakened. For the next hour, the 2 vessels circled each other, exchanging fire. Both took heavy damage. The Indomitable's hull was breached in 3 places, and 2 decks were exposed to space. The Vorn ship lost one of its main engines and several weapon ports. "Shields failing," the damage control officer announced. "Hull integrity at 40%. June looked at the enemy ship, which was also badly damaged. He needed one more trick. "Hana," he called through the communication system. "Remember that theory you had about Vorn power cores?" "Yes, sir," Hana's voice replied from engineering. "Their cores create a specific energy field. If we can match its frequency and then reverse it, can you do it with what we have left?" There was a pause. "Yes, but we'd have to get very close, almost touching their hull." "Plot a course," June told the helm officer. "Take us right up to them." The Indomitable surged forward directly toward the Vorn command ship. The enemy, surprised by such a reckless move, fired frantically but couldn't stop the human vessel's approach. "Contact in 10 seconds, the helm officer reported, her voice steady despite the danger. "Hana, be ready," June said. "Standing by, sir." The 2 ships came together, their hulls nearly touching. Metal scraped against metal as they drifted. "Now," June ordered. Hana activated her device. There was no dramatic explosion or flash of light. Instead, the lights on the Vorn ship simply went out. Its weapons powered down. The massive vessel became a dead hulk floating in space. "Their power core has shut down," Hana reported with pride in her voice. "They're dead in space." Across the battlefield, the human fleet was pressing its advantage. With the alien coalition in disarray and the Vorn Supreme Command ship disabled, the tide had turned decisively. "Send a message to all ships," June said. "Push forward. Victory is within reach." Hours later, as the remains of the alien fleet retreated from the Sol system, June stood on the badly damaged bridge of the Indomitable. Emergency repairs were underway all around him. "Casualty report," he asked quietly. "We lost 8 ships," Subin replied. "But we saved Earth." June nodded solemnly. The cost had been high, but humanity had proven itself. Against 3 advanced alien species with superior technology and numbers, humans had prevailed through adaptability, cunning, and sheer determination. "The Vorn Supreme Commander is asking to speak with you," Jin said from her station. "He's offering surrender terms." June straightened his uniform, which was torn and stained with smoke. "Put him through," he said. "It's time to discuss the new order of things in this galaxy." 1 year after the Battle of Sol, as it had come to be known, June Kim stood on a platform in the Great Hall of Earth. He was no longer a Commodore. The new stars on his uniform showed his rank as Admiral. Below him were representatives from dozens of worlds, including humans, Vorn, Zal, and even a group of Ract. Once enemies, now they had gathered for the signing of the Galactic Concord, a peace treaty that would change the future of known space. June's eyes found familiar faces in the crowd. Su Bin stood tall and proud in her captain's uniform. She now commanded her own ship, protecting Earth's new colonies. Hana Park wore formal civilian clothes, her position as Director of Technological Innovation making her one of the most important people on Earth. Jin was there too, heading the new Interspecies Communication Division, and there was Dai Sung, his former tactical officer, now a celebrated captain. During the Battle of Seoul, his bold maneuver had split the enemy forces and helped turn the tide. People called it the Sung Gambit now, and it was taught at the academy. As June prepared to give his speech, his mind drifted back to the months following the battle. The Indomitable had barely made it back to Earth. Its hull was cracked in 17 places. 3 decks were completely destroyed. The ship had to be towed into orbit by 2 support vessels. Can it be fixed? June had asked Hana as they stood in a viewing room, looking at the damaged ship. Hana had studied the scans and nodded slowly. Yes, but it would be cheaper and faster to build a new ship. We're not scrapping the Indomitable, June had said firmly. That ship is special. And so the repair work had begun. But this time, they didn't just rebuild the Indomitable as a warship. Instead, it was redesigned to serve as both a museum and a training vessel. Future officers would learn on the very ship that had saved humanity. Meanwhile, the diplomatic talks with the defeated aliens had started. The Vorn, once feared throughout known space, had been humbled. Their supreme commander, now a prisoner, had offered unconditional surrender. The Zal had retreated to their territory, still wary of humans but no longer hostile. They had watched as their most powerful ally was defeated, and they had no wish to suffer the same fate. But the biggest surprise had been the Ract. The hive-minded species had approached humanity not with fear, but with respect and curiosity. Their ambassador, a tall being with iridescent skin, had explained their position. We joined the Vorn because they were the strongest, the Ract ambassador had said. Now we see that humans are stronger, not in weapons, but in here. The alien had pointed to its head. You adapt, you change, you find new ways when old ways fail. This is something our hive values. We wish to learn from humans. That unexpected alliance had been the first step toward the Galactic Concord. Now, a year later, June stepped up to the podium. The room fell silent. 1 year ago, he began, humanity faced its greatest challenge. 3 powerful species came to conquer us. They had superior numbers, advanced technology, and a long history of successful conquests. He paused, looking around the room. Today, those same species stand with us as we build a new future. This is not because we defeated them with superior firepower or overwhelming forces. It is because we showed them something they had never seen before, a species that refuses to be defined by limitations. June gestured to the large view screen behind him, which showed the rebuilt Indomitable in orbit. That ship became a symbol of human determination. When faced with enemies who outmatched us in every conventional measure, we did not build bigger weapons or more ships. Instead, we used what we had more effectively. We adapted. We innovated. We proved that in war, no matter what weapon our enemies bring, our ship is enough because the true strength of any vessel lies in its crew. The audience applauded, humans and aliens alike. The Indomitable will now serve as both a museum and a training vessel. Future officers from all species will learn there, understanding not just how to fight, but when not to fight. The ship's motto, "Our ship is enough," has been adopted by the entire Earth Defense Force and now stands as a reminder that with the right people, the right thinking, and the right values, we can overcome any challenge. As June finished his speech, the leaders of the 4 main species stepped forward to sign the Galactic Concord. It was a historic moment, the beginning of a new era of cooperation. Later, at the celebration, June found himself standing with his old crew from the Indomitable. "Did you ever think we'd end up here?" Su Bin asked, looking around at the mixed crowd of humans and aliens. "Not really," June admitted. I was just trying to keep us alive. Hana smiled. And now we're sharing technology with species that were trying to destroy us a year ago. The Zal energy systems are fascinating, she continued, and the racked biological computers are unlike anything we've ever seen. Combined with human innovation, we're advancing faster than any single species could alone. Jin joined them, accompanied by a racked diplomat. Admiral Kim, she said, this is Taral. He wanted to meet you. The racked bowed slightly. Admiral, your ship has become famous even among my people. There is a saying now, spreading through the galaxy, beware of humans in small ships. They all laughed at that, even the racked, who made a strange bubbling sound that was their version of laughter. Dae Sung raised his glass. To the Indomitable, and her crew. To peace, added Su Bin. To the future, said Hana. June looked at his friends, then out the window where Earth shone blue and beautiful below. In the distance, he could just make out the shape of the Indomitable in orbit, its hull, catching the sunlight. To all of that, June said, raising his glass, and to the lesson we taught the galaxy. No matter what weapons your enemies bring to bear, with the right ship and the right crew, humanity will always find a way to prevail. In the central chamber of the Galactic Concord headquarters, built 2 years later on neutral ground, a piece of the original hull of the Indomitable stands on display. It is scorched and bent from battle, but still intact. Below it, a simple inscription reads, "No matter the weapon, our ship is enough." Visitors from 100 worlds stop to read those words each day. Some touch the metal reverently. Others study it with scientific curiosity, but all leave with the same understanding. Never underestimate a species that can turn determination into its greatest weapon. And in the vast darkness of space, human ships continue to explore, their crews carrying forward the legacy of the Indomitable. Not as conquerors, but as partners in a new galactic civilization that values adaptability, courage, and cooperation above all else.